Hello everyone, my name is Elia Nichols and I am a speaker and communication coach. I'm here to help you communicate the best of yourself. Today we're going to talk about how to break down a speech and make it dynamic. So this is assuming that you have a formal speech that you've actually written down and that you can actually work on paper. So go ahead and get your paper and pen out. The first thing you need to do to make a speech dynamic is to break it down into beats. What is a beat? A beat is the period of time in which a united thought is consistent. So it's when you have one thought that continues and ends. It doesn't mean that it ends when there's a period or a comma or a semicolon. A beat can be made up of 2 or 3 sentences, or it can be made up of 2 or 3 words. But the thought is consistent. It's one thought. The purpose of finding the beats in a speech is so that you find the journey and growth of the speech, so that we as the audience follow it. It's so that you take us on an adventure. Beats also help you as the speaker find more vocal variety, so that it's more interesting and dynamic and communicative for the audience. So how do you find the beats? How do you find the beat changes? Beat changes often, though not always, occur when 4 things happen. Number 1, when a silence or pause occurs, when you instinctively know that you need to stop and take a real silence. Number 2, when the subject matter of the beat, of the speech has changed. So you start with one subject, you end that subject, you move on to a different subject. Number 3, when the speaker is changing tactic. So the speaker wants to affect the audience in a different way. He or she changes tactic, and there you need a beat change. And number 4 is when a climax in the speech has been reached. So I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm in building, boom! After that boom, you have to have a beat change. Now let's take a sample speech and see if we can find some beat changes together. Let's take a look at Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. I have chosen an excerpt starting from, "And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream." So if you want to pull up that or just listen, you can. I'm going to read it. I want you to see if you can figure out when a beat change happens, meaning when one united thought has ended and it moves on to a new thought. And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. All right, let's stop there. Did you hear any changes that happen there, any beat changes? I would say the first one happens after American dream. Let's listen one more time. And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day, see, there's a complete change in subject there. If I had taken a beat change after I still have a dream and before it is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, I would have interrupted Martin Luther King's train of thought, and that would be a travesty. It would not have taken the audience on the right journey. However, if I take a pause or if I raise my pitch or lower it, make a change in my voice between American dream and I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, then I will be telling the audience, I'm taking you on a new part of the adventure now. Now we're making a change. In fact, he's going more into detail in every type of dream that he has. That's just an example of beat changes. Now, you find a beat change like this one. How do you mark it on your speech? Because I want you to actually mark up your speech. That way when you're reading it to the audience, you see what to do every single time you see your markings, okay? When you find a beat change, you mark it with a slash. The slash goes before the new beat, okay? So it goes at the end of the old beat before the new beat. That tells you you have to do something. So right now, I'd like you to take a look at your speech, say it out loud, and see if you can find the beat changes. When you find them, mark them with a slash. Now that we know where the beat changes are, how do we use them? There's 4 ways that you can use beat changes. You can insert a silence or a pause. And when I mean silence or a pause, I mean a big silence, a big pause. I still have a dream. I have a dream. Okay, I'm talking 3 to 4 seconds. I'm not talking a comma. I still have a dream. It's a dream deep. No, that's not a pause. I'm talking about a big, important silence or pause where you have time to look at the audience, see how they reacted, see how they're responding, and then continue. That's the first way you can use a beat. The second way you can use your beat is by raising or lowering your pitch. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. That's where my beat change is. I have a dream that I raise my pitch on the next sentence, on the next few words, or I can lower it. I have a dream that is deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day I can lower my pitch. That signals to the audience a change. It starts to take them on that journey, and it's very interesting and dynamic. The third thing you can do, so we said silence or pause, pitch change. The third thing is stress change. What is stress? Stress is putting weight on a certain word or words. And again, these always happen after the beat changes. Let's just play around with that. I have a dream that is deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that down there, did we like that? Maybe that can work. I put the stress on the first 2 or 3 words after the beat change. American dream. I have a dream. That can work. Sometimes it's too much. Some of this is subjective. You have to decide what you think is the best thing to do in that moment. The fourth thing to do that you can do is you could change the tempo. Tempo is the rhythm. Think about it as music. So if beforehand my tempo has been kind of fluid, I can all of a sudden, after the beat change, make a very staccato tempo. Let's try it. I have a dream that is deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day I have a dream. So I did it quite staccato. Did we like that? No, I don't think that's the right thing to do there. Now, if your tempo before the beat change is not so fluid, you can make it fluid after. You can do whatever you want with the tempo. So let's make it more fluid after, maybe more slow. I have a dream that is deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day, down there. Did you like that? Maybe it can work. For this beat change, I would probably raise or lower my pitch. But again, it's subjective. And if you as a speaker can make it work, great. This is how you break down your speech with beats, finding beats. And it's the first thing you do. Next, we're going to talk about stressing words and painting words. The next step to breaking down a speech is to find the key words in the speech. The key words are the important nouns, adjectives, or adverbs in the speech. They're never going to be the articles, a, an. They're never going to be the prepositions, in, at, etc. The purpose of stressing the key words in the speech is to communicate to the audience what the important ideas of the speech are. What are the main topics that you're trying to get across, the main messages? When you find the key word, what you do is you stress it. You put more weight on it. If you stress the wrong word, it changes the meaning of the sentence. Let me give you an example from JFK. He said, "And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." So he stressed, not you, you, country. If you stressed different words in that sentence, the message would be completely different. Let's listen to that quote if you stressed the wrong words. "And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." If I stress your country and do instead of not you, you, your country, you don't understand the sentence. You don't understand the message. So stressing the right keywords is fundamental for the audience to understand what the key ideas are. How do you find the keywords to stress? They're the words that you would normally emphasize in a sentence. Instinctively, you know what the important words in the sentence are. How do you mark the key words in your speech? You underline them. When you underline them, that's how you know you need to stress them. So now I want you to go into your speech and go ahead and find all of the keywords and underline them. When you're done with that, come back. The final part to breaking down a speech so that it becomes dynamic and easy to follow for your audience is to find the words that you want to paint. What does that mean? Painting words means that you want to make each word sound onomatopoeic, that you want to make the word sound like what it is. So I'll give you an example. It was a long trip. I made the word long sound even longer. Long. I extended the O vowel, and you understood that it was a really long trip, right? The purpose of painting the words in the speech is to communicate the emotions to the audience. It's to communicate to the audience how you feel about what you're saying. And this is the way that you are going to really motivate the audience and manipulate the audience. And manipulate them, it does not have to be a bad thing. Manipulating them means that you move them and you get them on your side. And the best way to do that is by painting words. Now, painting words depends on who you are. It depends on who the speaker is in that moment of time. I'll give you an example. If I am a Nazi leader in World War II and I'm talking about the Jews, I will probably say something like this. The Jews are destroying us Nazis. I will speak about the Jews in a negative light, and I literally will paint the word Jews to sound negative. I'll chew the word, I'll lower my pitch, and I make it sound bad. If I am a Jew in World War II and I'm speaking about the Nazis, I will probably say something like this. We Jews are just trying to save ourselves. The Jews are just trying to contribute to the German society. The Nazis are trying to kill us. So I make Jews sound light and nice and positive. I make Nazis sound negative and bad. Okay, I lower my pitch to make it sound bad. I raise my pitch to make Jews sound positive. That is how you paint words. Painting words is acting. You have to act it a bit. And this is the part that's most difficult for people usually because it's a bit theatrical, it's a bit dramatic, but it is absolutely the most effective way to become a good speaker because you keep people's attention and you really tell stories this way. In some ways, you can think about painting words as if you were telling a story to a child. The big bad cat. Okay? You make it sound big and bad. Cat. Okay? It's kind of the same thing, except you bring it to a speech. So obviously a speech is probably going to be more formal, more serious, perhaps comedic, but it's not going to be childlike. And so you just bring that idea of painting the words that you did for children, but you bring it onto the stage with your words. How do you find the words that you are going to paint? They are the words that will move the audience, that will affect them emotionally. So often they will be adjectives or powerful verbs. It was a big balloon. It was a horrible day. It was a daunting experience. He tortured. These are emotional words, okay? And when you find the words that you want to paint, you circle them in your speech. So right now I want you to go through your speech and I want you to circle every word that you think you should paint. There's one final trick I'll tell you about, and that is how to play with your pitches. In general, high pitches communicate positivity, lightness, comedy, fun. If it's too high, it can communicate anxiety, so be aware of that. Lower pitches communicate negativity, strength, power. So I want you to be aware of that when you're painting words and on your beat changes. If you raise your pitch, you're probably going to take your audience in a more positive direction. If you lower your pitch, you might be getting more serious or more sadder, okay? Another thing is that vowels communicate emotion, sadness, happiness. So if you spend more time on your vowels, I will communicate the emotion of that word. It was a sad day. Sad. It was a happy day. If I spend more time instead on the consonants of a word, I will communicate strength, power, severity. Okay, I already worked on this a little bit with Nazis. Nazis. I'm not going to say Nazis because that would communicate the emotion. Nazis. If I want to make the Nazis sound powerful, Nazis, or bad, Nazis. If I want to insult someone and say that he was little, I would focus on the consonants. He was little, little, LT, little. Instead, if I want to talk about a little mouse that was very cute, I might say, he was a little mouse, little. So I spend more time on the vowel, and it communicates positive feeling about that mouse because I spent more time on the vowel. So if I spend more time on the consonants, it will communicate power, severity, perhaps negativity. Now that you've broken down your speech in these three ways, you found the beats, you found the key words, and you found the words that you want to paint. Now you can actually go through your speech, say it out loud, and follow your guidelines. You now know when to make a change. You have your slash. It says, stop, do something here. Take a pause, raise or lower your pitch, change the stress, change the tempo. Every time you see a word that is underlined, you know you need to give more weight, more stress to that word. Every time you see a word that's painted, you know you need to give some emotion to that word. If you follow these three rules, your speech will absolutely be dynamic and you will take your audience on a journey. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was helpful. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel right there below. Or you can check out my website at elianichols.com. Thank you.